Hello everybody, Mr. Akins here and welcome to What's on the Comic Rack. In this video I'm going to do what Bigby McFly, the comic book guy, would call a shout out video. In fact, it's going to be a true comic book shout out video. In this video I want to show you 10 comics, and those 10 comics are going to remind me, or let me put it this way, when I see these comics it reminds me of comic book YouTubers. I'm always trying to find new ways to show off these comics or new things to do in these videos, like my D&D video. Always looking for something new. Unfortunately, I'm a math teacher, and when you are a math teacher, you're always trying to find new ways of doing stuff, and when you do that, you're usually ripping off somebody else. I'll see somebody teach something one way and I'll go, ooh, that's a great way of doing it. Most of my stuff is really a synthesis of me looking and watching other people's videos and combining it into my own videos, and especially the way I show my comics. I show my comics one book at a time, and I'm not actually holding the book up and showing you the book. I got that from Jambo Comics. Jambo Comics, I've never seen his face, but he always puts the comics there front and center. So that's the reason I decided to do my videos that way. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 comics the Jambo Comics way, and I want to tell you the YouTuber that it reminds me of, or the YouTuber, when I see these comics, it reminds me of them. So let's get to looking at those comics. So let's get started. And before I go any further, a link to everyone's channel is in the description below. We're going to start off with Black Panther #1. Now, this comic book always reminds me of Mike at Lunch Money Comics. Why? Why is this comic book linked with Mike at Lunch Money Comics? Well, Mike did a video called Hunting for Rare Comics in Canada, and he picked up some foreign language comics. I got this comic from one of my former foreign exchange students, and as you can see, it is actually a Deutschland edition. Foreign comics from this point are always going to remind me of Mike at Lunch Money Comics. Next on the list, Spider-Man #6, cover by Todd McFarlane. Every time I see a cover with the Hobgoblin on it, I now think of Manny, the Hobgoblin Collector. I'm sure Manny has this issue, and I'm sure he has a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 238. I started looking, I was sure I had a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 238. After looking, I found out I don't have one. So I'm curious, Manny, how many copies of Amazing Spider-Man do you actually own? And do you have a 9.8? Also, Manny is nominated for the Best New Channel in the CBC Awards, so if you haven't checked him out, please do and vote if you like his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, check out his channel. There's a link in the description below. Next on the list, Man-Thing #1. Not the Man-Thing #1. This is from 1997. Can't think or see a Man-Thing comic without thinking of M.O.N comics. Now, I want to collect Man-Thing comics after watching this channel. I've kind of got the itch, got the bug to go out and collect some of those. Always remember though, once you mail something to Brandon at M.O.N Comics, he has your address forever. So Brandon, do you have this Man-Thing comic? And me and Brandon have been, trading back and forth. Brandon is a great example of somebody in this community that is the absolute nicest guy you could ever want to deal with or talk with, and I hope one day to actually meet. So we've been trading back and forth with comics. He also just recently sent me this beauty right here, and it is a beauty. Iron Man #5. It is a great looking copy and just helping me one more step to get everything in volume 1. Next on the list, Vengeance of Vampirella #8. What M.O.N Comics is to Man-Thing, Ricky at All Sorts of Words is to Vampirella. If you want to know anything about Vampirella, just head over to All Sorts of Words. He can literally provide you with everything you could ever want to know about Vampirella. I think he even has a video entitled Everything Comic Collectors Need to Know About Vampirella. When he shows off his Vampirella books, there are some amazing covers. Once he's like showing every single one of them, and there are some amazing covers in there. And now, after seeing them, I need to possess some of those covers. Sadly, Ricky, this is the only Vampirella comic I own. She was all alone in a dollar bin, still in her polybag glory, with an exclusive special Topps Vampirella preview card inside. So the question is, in your vast Vampirella collection, do you actually have this comic in a polybag with the card, or do I possess something of value to you? Up next, we got Conan the Barbarian movie special #1. Now, who do I think of now when I see Conan comics? That would be Gary B, the casual comic guy. Gary B is always showing his Conan comics and his shorts. I think I like his shorts of all his content the best. Now, he has a great new comic book day haul videos every Wednesday, and he has live shows, the 10-1-1 with special guests. When I see a Conan comic, I'm always thinking of Gary B, the casual comic guy. Crom definitely approves not only of this cover, but he also approves of the comic. So up next, we've got an Iron Man comic right here, cover by the incomparable Alex Ross. So this comic reminds me of my southern brother and fellow statesman, fellow Iron Man collector, 22 Comics. Now, 22 Comics is nominated for a CBC award. I think he's nominated in 2 categories, one for the best speculation / comic investment and best unboxing. Now, for me, he's nominated for best speculation in a show he does on Monday nights called Top 10 Alternatives. I'm always there in the chat, always having a good time there in the chat. That's also part of a Monday night lineup featuring people like Izzyverse, SVon82 with Comic Book Addicts, Geek Out with Roscoe and TM Nerdy. Will over at Cup of Comics has a show that night called Monday Night Raw, and I think this Monday night lineup ends up with Carlos Collects. So me and 22, we're both currently working on our Volume 1 of Iron Man. I'm sure 22 has this comic though. Who doesn't have all those beautiful Alex Ross covers that were done for this run? Had to adjust my camera a little bit there. Next, we've got Comics Greatest World from Dark Horse Comics. X. What comic book YouTuber does this comic book remind me of? It reminds me of Coffee and Comics. Now, Coffee and Comics has done a lot of videos about X. Even did a look through on a few of his comics. Coffee and Comics has a nice 90s collection. So if you're interested in X, if you're interested in 90s comics, if you like coffee and you like comics, you may want to check out Coffee and Comics. We're going to end not on X, but X-Men comics. X-Men number 183. What comic book YouTuber do I think of when I see this cover? That would be Ryan, the Colossus Collector. And this happens to be one of my favorite Colossus covers. I absolutely love this cover. Now, this wasn't the very first X-Men comic I ever bought. The very first X-Men comic I bought was this one right here. X-Men number 175. I absolutely love this issue. I didn't really understand the backstory of Dark Phoenix when I first bought this, but when the illusion is created that New York has been nuked, and the fact that it's Cyclops fighting off all the other X-Men, all created by Mastermind, it was just a very excellent book. I love this book. Now, who do I think of when I see this book? Why, Big New McFly, the comic guy. This was his first X-Men comic that he ever bought. We're 175 brothers. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, links to everybody's channel is in the description below. Check some of these channels out. I think they're absolutely great channels. I watch these channels on a regular basis, always getting great ideas, always seeing great comics, and always experiencing great content from each one of these creators. So again, check out those links in the description below. Until next time, we'll see you around the comic rack.